In the quiet halls of Pembroke House, a priceless golden locket has vanished. No forced entry, no sign of struggle, only a single, delicate thread left behind. Who among them could betray trust, and why? Stay with us, for the truth will unfold in ways you could never imagine. If you love mysteries that tease the mind and soothe the soul, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your next clue awaits. Chapter 1: The Vanishing Treasure. The autumn morning in London was unusually crisp, with a soft haze settling over the quiet streets. The golden leaves of the ancient elms drifted lazily to the ground, their rustling sound mingling with the faint clatter of horse-drawn carriages in the distance. In the heart of the city, nestled among elegant Georgian townhouses, stood Lady Ethelreda Pembroke's residence, a stately home that had witnessed centuries of family history. Inside, the air was warm and fragrant with the faint aroma of beeswax polish and old books, creating an atmosphere of both comfort and quiet dignity. Lady Pembroke, a woman of impeccable taste and refined manners, sat in her drawing room, her hands nervously clasping a delicate lace handkerchief. Her usually composed face was marked by an unmistakable anxiety. She had called upon Hercule Poirot, the celebrated Belgian detective, whose reputation for solving the most perplexing crimes preceded him. "Ah, Monsieur Poirot," she said, her voice tinged with both relief and trepidation. "Thank you for coming so promptly. I am in desperate need of your assistance." Poirot, seated gracefully in a high-backed armchair, regarded her with his characteristic calm. He adjusted his neatly waxed mustaches, the movement precise and deliberate, before replying in his soft, measured tone. "Madam, I am at your service. Pray, tell me exactly what has occurred." Lady Pembroke took a deep breath. "It is the golden locket, monsieur. My most treasured possession. It has disappeared." Poirot's eyes narrowed, his small, intelligent features settling into their familiar expression of concentrated thought. "Vanished, you say? From where, precisely?" "From my safe," she replied. "It was kept under the strictest security. No one could touch it without my knowledge. And yet this morning it was gone." Her voice quivered, though she made an effort to maintain composure. Poirot leaned slightly forward, his fingers steepled together. "Madam, it is often in moments of confidence that the cleverest thief strikes. Tell me, who has access to this safe?" Lady Pembroke listed the household: her niece, Miss Clarissa Pembroke, a gentle, soft-spoken young lady who adored her family's legacy; Mr. Hawthorne, the butler, whose loyalty and discretion were known far and wide; Mrs. Beauchamp, the governess, strict but fair, responsible for the care of Miss Clarissa; and a visiting family friend, Mr. Jonathan Aldridge, a charming and sophisticated gentleman with a keen interest in antiques. Poirot's keen gaze swept through the room as he absorbed the details. Each person, he noted, was a small universe of gestures and expressions, subtle glances, the slightest shift in posture, a hesitation in speech, all of which could betray hidden truths. He made no immediate judgment, only observed. "Très bien," he murmured. "The mind must remain methodical, the heart calm. In matters such as this, one must not rush. Patience and observation are the true tools of detection." Lady Pembroke's worry did not abate. "But how could someone in my household, take it without my knowing? The safe is locked, the keys under my care." Poirot's small eyes twinkled. "Ah, madam, the cleverest thefts are not those of force, but of finesse. The thief is subtle, calculated, and above all, patient. They leave behind not the obvious signs of violence, but traces for those who know where to look. And that I intend to discover." Hastings, Poirot's loyal companion, who had accompanied him on countless cases, whispered under his breath, "It does seem impossible, doesn't it, Poirot?" Poirot replied softly, "Impossible? No, my friend. Only that which has not yet been understood. Observe, listen, think, and the solution shall reveal itself." Lady Pembroke gave a grateful nod, placing her hand over Poirot's. Though the anxiety remained, there was a flicker of hope in her eyes. Somewhere in this house, in the quiet corners and among the carefully kept treasures, lay the secret of the vanished golden locket. And Hercule Poirot, with his little grey cells, was already beginning to unravel it. The detective rose gracefully, gloved hands clasped behind his back. "Now, madam, let us examine the scene of the crime. Every detail, however minute, may hold the key to understanding what has occurred." With that, the stage was set. The mystery of the golden locket had begun, a puzzle woven of human emotion, subtle deception, and hidden motives, one that only the brilliance of Hercule Poirot could hope to solve. Chapter 2. A Clue in the Library. The library of Lady Pembroke's house was a sanctuary of quiet grandeur. Rich oak shelves climbed to the ceiling, heavy with leather-bound volumes whose spines gleamed softly in the warm glow of the afternoon sun streaming through the tall windows. Persian rugs muffled footsteps, and the faint scent of polished wood and aging paper gave the room a dignified serenity. Poirot surveyed the scene with his customary precision, his small eyes scanning every corner. The safe, now open, revealed no signs of forced entry. The lock was pristine, as if untouched by violent hands. This subtlety did not escape the detective. On the contrary, it spoke volumes. "Ah, Hastings," Poirot murmured, drawing his companion closer. "Observe. There is no sign of brute force. No scratches, no tampering. This, my friend, is a matter of intellect rather than strength. The thief is refined." Hastings nodded, frowning. "So they must have had the combination or the key?" "Perhaps," Poirot replied, tapping his fingers together lightly. "Or perhaps they relied on observation, on timing, on human error. There are many ways to enter a safe without leaving a mark, mais we, the cleverest of thieves, leave only the faintest whisper of their presence." Poirot's eyes then caught sight of something on the mantelpiece, a delicate golden ribbon, slightly frayed at one edge, lying among a display of porcelain figurines. He picked it up with gloved fingers, holding it carefully before Hastings. "Hastings, this is no ordinary ribbon," Poirot said. "Look at the weave, the gold thread. It is of exceptional quality. And yet, it is torn. A detail, perhaps unintended, left behind by our thief." Hastings tilted his head, puzzled. "Could it belong to the locket?" "Perhaps," Poirot said thoughtfully. "Or perhaps it is a misdirection. The clever thief may leave behind something to divert attention, or simply through haste. Every clue, even a false one, must be examined with care." Poirot proceeded to question the household, one by one. Miss Clarissa Pembroke, when asked about her whereabouts, stated she had taken a morning walk in the garden, admiring the autumn leaves and gathering her thoughts. Mr. Hawthorne, the ever-diligent butler, had been polishing silver in the dining room. Mrs. Beauchamp had been attending to her usual duties with the children. And then there was Mr. Jonathan Aldridge, the family friend. When asked where he had been that morning, his answer was vague and evasive, delivered with a casual charm that seemed practiced rather than genuine. Poirot made a careful mental note. "What strikes me, Hastings," Poirot whispered as he held the ribbon between his fingers, "is that the thief is not motivated by greed alone. No, there is a human element here, subtle and emotional. The golden locket is more than a mere object. It is memory, it is sentiment, it is attachment. And that is precisely why the crime is both delicate and personal." Hastings shook his head in mild bewilderment. "Attachment, Poirot? I thought we were looking at a simple theft." "Ah, my dear friend, the heart is often a more treacherous thief than any man," Poirot replied with a small smile. "And in cases such as these, one must not only examine what is missing, but also why it was taken, and by whom." The detective then requested to examine the safe in closer detail. He ran his fingers along the lock, observing the slight indentation in the metal where a key might have rested, the faint smudge of a fingertip. He crouched and scrutinized the floor around the safe, noting a small speck of gold thread, another clue perhaps connected to the ribbon. "We, Hastings, our work is just beginning," Poirot murmured. "The thief left a trace, no matter how small. The cleverer they are, the subtler the footprint. But footprints there are, and with patience we shall follow them." As the afternoon sun slanted lower, casting long shadows across the oak floor, Poirot felt the familiar thrill of a puzzle. Each element, the ribbon, the lack of forced entry, the suspect's alibis, was a piece of a larger mosaic, waiting for the little gray cells to assemble it into clarity. "Madame Pembroke," Poirot finally said as he stood and bowed slightly. "Do not worry. Patience, observation, and method will reveal the truth. Every clue has its place, and every motive its reason. The golden locket shall be found." Hastings, following Poirot out of the library, glanced back at the mysterious ribbon still held carefully in Poirot's hand. "It seems so small, Poirot, yet it might hold the key to the entire case." "Exactament, Hastings," Poirot replied with a serene smile. "Never underestimate the subtlety of human nature, or the power of a single, golden thread." Chapter 3: The Garden Meeting. The next afternoon, the autumn sunlight lay softly over the Pembroke Gardens, turning every blade of grass into gold. The air was cool but not cold, the kind of still afternoon when even time seemed to pause for breath. Hercule Poirot stood by the stone balustrade overlooking the lawns, his hat tilted just so, his gloves clasped neatly behind his back. He had asked that the household join him there. It was an odd request, but Lady Pembroke had learned enough of the little Belgian's methods not to question him. The household came one by one, Miss Clarissa in a pale blue dress that caught the sunlight, Mr. Hawthorne, dignified and stiff as ever, Mrs. Beauchamp, composed yet nervous, and finally Mr. Aldridge, immaculate in his dark suit, a faint smile playing on his lips. Poirot's eyes, small and bright as polished onyx, moved from face to face. He began gently, conversationally. "It is pleasant, n'est-ce pas, to be out in the fresh air after such troubling days? A fine garden, a fine family, and yet a shadow passes through it." Lady Pembroke looked confused. "Monsieur Poirot, have you discovered something?" "Perhaps, madam. The locket, it is a curious object. It carries history, emotion. And yet, in the hands of the wrong person, it becomes the center of deceit." He turned suddenly to Mr. Aldridge. "You are fond of fine things, monsieur? Of antique ribbons, of fabrics, of objects that carry stories?" Aldridge laughed lightly. "Indeed I am. I collect them. Old ribbons, medals, small tokens of the past, they fascinate me." "Ah," said Poirot softly. "And sometimes one must handle them carefully, yes? For if one is careless, a thread may break." He held up the small golden ribbon between finger and thumb. "This one, for instance." The group fell silent. The ribbon glittered in the sun, delicate and broken at one end. Poirot's tone remained calm, but his eyes never left Aldridge's face. "This was found in the library, near the safe. It matches the ribbon that once attached the locket to its chain. Tell me, Monsieur Aldridge, do you recognize it?" Aldridge's smile faltered just slightly. Well, it looks similar to many in my collection. But surely you don't mean—" Poirot inclined his head. "Non, I mean only to say that such a ribbon would be familiar to one who appreciates fine details. But there are others who might value it differently. Miss Clarissa, for example." Clarissa started, her eyes wide. "Me? But I haven't even been near the library that morning." Poirot nodded thoughtfully. "You said you were in the garden? And yet footprints, small, feminine, with the mark of a slight heel, were found on the gravel near the library window. The same shoes you are wearing now, mademoiselle." Clarissa's cheeks flushed, her voice trembling. "I only passed by the window. I saw Mr. Aldridge there earlier. I thought perhaps he was looking at the books." All eyes turned toward Aldridge. He adjusted his cufflinks, his composure returning with effort. Monsieur Poirot, surely this is all circumstantial. Anyone could have dropped that ribbon. Anyone could have walked by that window." Poirot smiled faintly. "Ah, yes, anyone. And yet the simplest of details, timing, opportunity, motive, begin to narrow the field, do they not? The library, it is a room of silence. But silence, too, can speak." He looked at Lady Pembroke. "Madam, your safe key, where do you keep it?" "In the drawer of my writing desk, in my study," she replied. Poirot nodded. "And it is always there?" "Always," she said. Then, hesitating, "except perhaps the evening before the theft. I had moved it for a moment to retrieve a letter and may have left it out." Poirot's gaze softened. "A small oversight, madam, but one a watchful eye might notice. Someone who lingers, who observes, who waits for just such a moment." He turned again to the others, his voice low and deliberate. "It is not greed that drove this theft. No, it was feeling, emotion held too long, perhaps grief, perhaps love. The ribbon, the locket, the quiet act in the night, it was not done by a stranger, but by someone who could not bear to lose what the heart remembered." The garden was utterly still. A few leaves drifted down, rustling softly at their feet. Clarissa's head was bowed, Aldrich's jaw was set. Poirot said no more. He merely nodded once, as if to himself, and began to walk back toward the house. Hastings hurried after him. "But Poirot, you haven't accused anyone. You've only made them all nervous." Poirot smiled without turning his head. "Patience, mon ami. The truth is like a flower. It must open at its own pace. And when it does, then we shall see its color clearly." Chapter 4. The Truth Revealed. The evening descended quietly over Pembroke House, cloaking its high windows and marble corridors in shades of amber and rose. A gentle rain had begun to fall, tapping faintly against the panes, as if nature itself were leaning close to listen. The air within was hushed, heavy with expectation. At Poirot's request, the household gathered once more in the drawing-room. The fire burned steadily, casting soft, golden light on the faces before it. Lady Pembroke pale and dignified, Clarissa trembling slightly, Mr. Aldrich trying to appear composed, Mrs. Beauchamp and Mr. Hawthorne stiff with unease. Poirot stood by the mantelpiece, his hands clasped behind his back, his silhouette small but commanding in the glow of the fire. His eyes were bright, his tone calm and deliberate. "Mesdames et messieurs," he began. "We have, as you English say, come to the end of our little puzzle." He paced slowly before them, speaking with the poise of a man who already knew every answer but wished to give his listeners the grace of realization. "The golden locket was no ordinary trinket," he said softly. "It was a family treasure, yes, but more than that, it was a vessel of memory. Inside it was a miniature portrait of Lady Pembroke's late sister, Miss Clarissa's mother. A woman much loved and long mourned." Clarissa's eyes widened, tears shone in them, though she said nothing. Poirot continued, "It is not greed that has stolen this locket. No rough hands opened the safe. No burglar slipped in through the night. It was taken gently, by one who loved it too dearly." He paused, turning toward Lady Pembroke. "Madam, your safe shows no sign of tampering. And the key was not stolen, it was borrowed. Borrowed by someone who knew you would forgive them, if only the heart could explain what the lips could not." A faint sob escaped from Clarissa. Poirot's voice softened. "It was you, mademoiselle. Was it not?" Clarissa covered her face, tears spilling freely now. Yes, Monsieur Poirot. I took it. But I swear I never meant to deceive anyone. I only wanted to hold it again. To see her face." Lady Pembroke's hand flew to her chest, her expression a mixture of shock and sorrow. "Clarissa, my dear, why did you not tell me?" Clarissa shook her head. "Because I was afraid you would think me childish. It was Mother's locket. You keep it locked away, but for me, it was like having her near again. I meant to put it back before anyone noticed, but when I dropped the ribbon, I panicked." Poirot nodded gently. Ah, mademoiselle, you see? Even the smallest oversight, a torn thread, a moment of haste, betrays the greatest of secrets. He turned to Lady Pembroke with a tender smile. Madam, you see, it was no crime of avarice. It was a theft of the heart, not of the purse. The room was silent save for the soft ticking of the mantel clock and the whisper of rain outside. Poirot let the moment linger, giving space for emotion to breathe. At last, Lady Pembroke rose and went to her niece. My dear child, she said quietly, embracing her, you should never have been afraid. If it brings you comfort, you may keep it. Your mother would have wished that. Clarissa wept openly then, clutching the locket to her chest as though it were life itself. Poirot smiled faintly and turned toward Hastings, who had been standing by, wide-eyed. You see, mon ami, the mystery was never of cunning or calculation, it was one of sentiment. The heart, when it grieves, does not reason. Hastings nodded, humbled. I confess, Poirot, I never imagined such a simple explanation. Poirot chuckled softly. Simple, perhaps, but it required the exercise of the little gray cells to see that simplicity. The emotions, Hastings, are like smoke, they cloud the reason. One must let the air clear before the truth appears. As he spoke, the fire crackled and a log shifted, sending a brief shower of sparks upward. The golden light flickered across Poirot's face, reflecting the quiet satisfaction of a man whose puzzle had found its natural conclusion. He took up his hat and gloves. Now, Mes Amos, it is finished. The golden locket has returned not to its case of steel, but to its rightful place, the human heart. Chapter 5. A Serene Resolution. The following morning broke with a pale, silvery calm. The storm of the night before had passed, leaving behind the Pembroke gardens washed clean and glittering with dew. The air carried that peculiar stillness that comes after confession, when all is said, and peace tiptoes quietly back into the world. In the breakfast room, sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating a table laid with china and silver. Lady Pembroke, restored to her gentle composure, poured tea with steady hands. Clarissa sat beside her, pale but serene, the golden locket now resting around her neck. It gleamed softly against her white gown, a token not of theft, but of reconciliation. Poirot entered, precise as ever, his shoes polished to a mirror shine, his mustaches immaculate. Hastings followed, looking far more cheerful now that the tension of the past days had evaporated. Ah, mesdames, Poirot greeted, bowing slightly. I trust you both slept well? The mind, it rests more sweetly when the heart is unburdened. Lady Pembroke smiled with genuine warmth. Indeed, Monsieur Poirot. You have restored peace to this household. I can hardly thank you enough. Poirot inclined his head modestly. It is nothing, madam. I merely followed the threads until they led me to what was always there, the love between you and your niece. Clarissa's voice was soft, yet steady now. Monsieur Poirot, I shall never forget your kindness. You did not accuse or humiliate me. You understood. Poirot's eyes twinkled kindly. Mademoiselle, one must always understand before one judges. Crime, true crime, is born of wickedness. But sorrow, that is another matter entirely. Hastings sipped his tea, watching Poirot with quiet admiration. You know, Poirot, sometimes I think you see the world differently from the rest of us. Where others find guilt, you find reason. Where others see deceit, you see the heart. Poirot smiled faintly. Perhaps, Hastings, because I have learned that human nature is never simple. It is a tapestry, one thread of vanity, another of love, another of pain. Pull too hard at one, and the whole pattern unravels. No, one must observe carefully, delicately, like so. He lifted his cup and took a slow, precise sip. Voila! Even tea, Hastings, must be taken with method. Lady Pembroke laughed softly, the first sound of true happiness the house had heard in days. Monsieur Poirot, I do hope you will stay for luncheon before you leave. Alas, madam, duty calls, Poirot said regretfully. Even as we speak, There are small mysteries fluttering about London, waiting for the little grey cells to bring them order. But I shall remember this house, its peace, its grace, and its lesson." Clarissa looked up. "And what lesson is that, monsieur?" Poirot smiled, his expression serene. "That sometimes what is lost is never truly gone. It merely waits to be found in the right light." He bowed, took his cane, and walked to the door with Hastings beside him. Outside, the carriage waited by the gravel drive, its wheels glinting in the soft sun. As Poirot stepped in, he turned for a final glance at the house, a picture of calm dignity, restored harmony, and quiet gratitude. The wheels turned, crunching over the gravel, and the great house of Pembroke slowly receded behind them. Poirot leaned back in his seat, eyes half closed, the faintest smile playing upon his lips. "Another case concluded, Hastings," he murmured. "And once again, we find that the greatest mysteries lie not in locked safes, but in the human heart." Hastings chuckled softly. "You're quite right, Poirot. Though I must admit, I prefer these gentle cases to the murderous sort." Poirot opened one eye amused. "Ah, but mon ami, even in the gentlest of thefts there lies passion. And passion, whether for love or for greed, is what makes the world turn." As the carriage rolled away beneath the golden autumn trees, the locket at the heart of the affair gleamed one last time through the window of Pembroke House, a small, perfect symbol of love reclaimed and peace restored. And thus ended the affair of the Golden Locket, not with a crime punished, but with understanding, forgiveness, and the quiet triumph of the heart.